Has anyone made a deal with a friend that if they weren't married by a certain age they would marry one another and actually followed through? How did it go? My friend and I made a deal that by 30, if we are not married or in any type of relationship, we would get married. This was when I was 18 and he was 21. Well, we ended up dating when I was 23 and we got married a few weeks ago. He turned 30 this year. I think we kept our promise. I made a deal with my best friend of 7 years. We even wrote joke vows and speeches. This was like 5 years ago when I was 30 and he was 26. Well, here we are. 35 and unmarried. I couldn't find anyone better, so I guess we're doing this thing. You're pretty cool. I like hanging out with you. This might as well happen. I turned 35 in April. We are getting married next year. I do not. When I was around 9, my best friend promised that he would marry me when we grew up. If I wanted that. So long as he didn't marry one of the millions of girls that he said would want to marry him in the future. We fell in love when we were 17. He didn't have anywhere near a million girls wanting to marry him. And now we're engaged. He's keeping his promise. But neither of us settled for each other. We love each other. I did this. But we picked 29. It was someone I had dated for 4 years. We made the pact when we were breaking up at age 21. He wanted to settle down and I didn't want a family yet. We agreed we would reconnect and marry later in life. He dated someone else and I dated a few people in the meantime. His GF left him for someone else about a year before we reconnected. I assumed he was the same person we were when we were younger. So we spent a few months living together and then got married. Yup. Nope. That didn't work. Currently working on the divorce papers. I made one with my best guy friend to be married at 30. I am 29 now and turn 30 next April. My friend would have turned 29 in March but he passed away 2 months ago from cancer. We spoke about this when he was sick and decided to push it back to 35-40 so we could enjoy life more, but we were still down. I miss him every day. Actually yes. It was in 2003, we were colleagues in school, and the pact said we'd marry by 2013. I met her many years later in the tramway. We only had a moment because she was getting off. She gave me a false telephone number and that was that. I don't think I brought up the pact. We were just catching up. I was into her back then. But for the wrong reasons. I know a middle-aged punk who is married to a friend for tax reasons. He's gay. She has a boyfriend. As far as I know there haven't been any problems. They are on very good terms. Only thing I picked up is that she would like him to write a will because of his very unhealthy lifestyle. Yup. In my early 20s. The person I made it with has literally ghosted me since I got married. It started as a joke. But I think he actually had some hopes there and I feel bad about confusing him. I think if someone suggests this there's a good chance they are carrying a torch for you and pretending not to. I am still a bit hurt that he treated me this way. We've known each other since we were teenagers and despite him having an interest in me years ago he swore blind it was a crush and he was over it. If I'd known he was secretly still into me I'd have distanced myself earlier instead of staying closer. I feel a bit betrayed that he had an ulterior motive all along and lied about it. It was like, oh, you're married. There's no point me keeping up this charade anymore. No nice guy crap. But still. It's a little hurtful. Frankly, if you don't want to be with someone now, there's no point suggesting that you might in the future. Even in jest. Sure. Friendships can turn into love. But it's good to be very clear about your feelings and not make people feel there's a small chance you'll settle for them. It's demeaning to both sides. Edit. I decided to give the guy a hello on FB just for old time's sake and got a nice reply. Turns out he's met someone he really likes and settled down. So hopefully we'll get past this now that it's been a few years. He's one of my oldest friends and I can understand how things might have gotten a bit confused. So here's hoping it's all water under the bridge. My guy friend and I made a pact 2 years ago that we would marry each other if we're not married by the age of 35. Currently I'm 24 and he's 25. We have known each other for 11 years now. I definitely would say we would make a great couple because we have the most fun together. Super spontaneous. If there's ever an argument between us it never escalates, we're great at communicating. And we have the same beliefs. Also I know for a fact he would be a great husband-father partner. Although the couple thing could work out IDK if I could ever see him romantically. The marriage would definitely be platonic and I'm not realizing time goes by super fast lol. Kind of now want to add an extra 5 years to the pact. So not quite how it went. Bullet, I had a friend where we promised to marry each other if we hadn't found someone by the time he hit the age 40. He is now my husband and I think it has worked out really well even if we ended up marrying about 2 years earlier than planned. We had ended up deciding to date and things just turned out amazingly. My best friend and I did this when I was 18 and he was 21. In 10 years if we weren't with anyone. I'm 26 now. We dated for a year after that and it didn't quite work out. After some time away from each other we were able to be friends again and every once in a while one of us will be like we've got X amount of years until that pact comes up how we live in different states, but I think we both think about it more frequently than we'd like to admit. I think I would still go through with it if we lived closer and got to spend more time with each other. I haven't followed through yet, but this type of deal led to my girlfriend and I getting together. I was at a party and I had heard a mutual friend say a few days beforehand that her best friend was her safety wife. I was tipsy and remembered that. So I asked one of my very platonic friends if she wanted to be my safety. She can be kind of a reticent person and she wasn't answering fast enough. So I turned to another friend, turned out to be less platonic, and asked her if she wanted to be my safety wife. She said yes right away. And we decided that we would get married at 50 if we were both still single. Joking about our hypothetical future married life led to flirting, which led to us getting together about 3 weeks later. Pro tip: if you've made this deal with someone you know, there's a fair chance that there's been more than friendship there all along. And perhaps you haven't realized. This isn't an absolute law, but a guideline. Not exactly the scenario OP asked for, but my first BF love recently reached out to me. He was my first love and we broke up 18 years ago. It was a nasty breakup. He was borderline abusive, very manipulative, and we were not good together regardless of how real our love was. I adored that man. I finally left him after one too many accusations of me cheating. He was the one cheating. I only picked up the phone when he called because I thought it was my daughter's daycare calling. He gushed about our relationship back then and ended the call by telling me he loved me. I blocked him. I'll give the TLDR. Had someone that we dated when we were 16. Lost our virginity to one another. Broke up, stayed friends for years. Made the marriage promise by age 30 if we were both single it would happen. Stopped being friends for 2 years. Then reconnected. Started sleeping together. I moved away for school. We grew apart again. A year later reconnected. Started sleeping together again. Downside: he had a long-term girlfriend he was cheating on. We just had a love and attraction to each other that we couldn't deny. He told me that I was always the one and he only wanted to be with me and wanted to get married. Broke up with the girlfriend and told me that he didn't want me anymore either. It ducked me up mentally pretty bad. Now he is blocked on every platform and I never want to see or speak to him ever again. Not me, but my friend's older sister. The sister and her best friend are both asexual and I believe they're romantic as well. And they decided to just get married for the legal benefits. I don't know them very well, but they seem happy with the arrangement whenever I see them. They are kind of crazy cat ladies together. In 8th grade my family moved from MI to FL and my boyfriend and I were devastated. We made a similar pact that by the end of high school we would try again once we were adults. On my 18th birthday he came down to Florida and tried to reconnect with me. He offered to break up with his serious girlfriend at the time. I told him he was crazy and I had my eyes on one of my super close guy friends. He went back to MI and me and my guy friend have been together almost 9 years. We marry in February. I'm glad I never went through with my pact. Made a pact with a girl in middle school to marry each other by 30 if we weren't. By 21 found out on Facebook that she turned lesbian and got married and moved to Alaska. Well, there goes that plan.